The horse was abandoned for being different, but the rancher's son turned it into the best. Robert Thompson had been running Clearwater Ranch for 25 years and had never faced such an awkward situation. The newly born horse was visibly limping on its right hind leg, and the buyers were already arriving to evaluate the new foals of the season. That's when his son, Ethan, just 10 years old, came running through the barn with eyes shining with curiosity. The boy stopped in front of the mare, who was still nursing the newborn foal, and immediately noticed something different about the little animal. "Dad, why is he limping?" Ethan asked, crouching down to get a better look. Robert let out a heavy sigh. The reputation of the stud farm was at stake. Thoroughbred horse buyers didn't tolerate imperfections, and this flaw could tarnish the name of the ranch he had built with so much sweat. "It's just a birth weakness, son. It happens sometimes," he replied dryly, mentally calculating the losses. "But he'll get better, right, Dad?" "Ethan, go home and help your mother. I have things to handle here." The boy sensed his father's serious tone and obeyed, but he couldn't get the foal out of his head for the rest of the day. There was something in the animal's eyes that deeply moved him, a mix of vulnerability and determination that he recognized in himself. That night at dinner, Ethan tried to bring up the horse again, but Robert quickly changed the subject. Sarah, his wife, noticed the tension and exchanged a worried glance with their son. "What's going to happen to him, Dad?" Ethan insisted. "I already told you it's none of your business, boy. Eat your food and stop asking silly questions." Sarah gently intervened. "Robert, he's just curious. It's natural." "What's natural is a horse born perfect, not a crippled one that'll give us headaches," he grumbled, making Ethan lower his head. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next morning, very early, Ethan slipped out of the house before breakfast and ran to the barn. He found his grandfather William, Robert's father, tending to the animals as he did every day since retiring from managing the ranch. "Grandpa William, have you seen the new little horse?" he asked eagerly. The old rancher, now in his 70s, smiled warmly. "Yes, I have, grandson. Poor thing, he was born with a little problem in his leg. Dad says he's crippled. Your father sometimes speaks without thinking. Come here, I'll show you something." William led his grandson to the stable where the foal and its mother were. The animal tried to keep up with the mare, but clearly struggled to put full weight on its affected leg. "See how he doesn't give up trying," his grandfather said. "Sometimes what looks like weakness can turn into strength if you know how to care for it right." "What do you mean, Grandpa?" "I've seen horses with similar problems who became the best on the ranch, but it takes patience and special care." Ethan's eyes filled with hope. "Can we take care of him, Grandpa?" William hesitated. He knew his son's temperament well and understood Robert wouldn't easily accept the idea. "Let's see what your father decides, boy." That same afternoon, 2 important buyers from New York City arrived. Robert welcomed them carefully, eager to close good deals. He showed them the ranch's finest animals, but kept the lame foal hidden in a separate stable. "We heard you've had recent births," one of the buyers remarked. "Can we see all the foals?" Robert felt a tightness in his chest. Of course. They're all excellent specimens." Ethan, who had been playing near the stables, overheard the conversation and ran to the barn where the foal was. "I needed to protect him somehow, but I didn't know how. That's when I got an idea. I opened the stable gate and gently guided the mare and her foal to the farthest pasture, where the trees would hide them from the visitor's sight. "Stay hidden here, little one," I whispered to the foal. "I won't let anyone hurt you." The buyers visited all the main stables and left impressed by the quality of the animals. Before leaving, one of them remarked, "Robert, you have an excellent reputation. You've never sold an animal with defects, right?" "Never," Robert replied proudly. "Only perfection leaves this place." After the visitors left, Robert discovered the foal was no longer in the stable. He searched the entire ranch until he found it in the distant pasture, with Ethan trying to teach the animal to walk better. "Ethan, what did you do?" he shouted angrily. "I was just helping him, Dad. Look how hard he's trying." "You nearly ruined our business today. If the buyers had seen this animal—" "But he's not bad, Dad. He just needs help. Robert grabbed his son by the arm. Enough of this nonsense. I'll take care of this tomorrow. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He overheard his parents talking in the next room and learned what his father planned to do with the foal. "You can't sell him for slaughter, Robert," Sarah said. "He's just a baby. He's a problem that needs to be dealt with before he damages our reputation. I already called Frank. He's coming first thing in the morning. And Ethan? How will he take it when he finds out? He'll have to understand that sometimes life is like this. Not everything can be saved." Tears rolled down Ethan's face. He couldn't let this happen. He waited until everyone was asleep and sneaked out of the house, running to the pasture where the foal was. "I won't let them hurt you," he whispered, hugging the animal's neck. "We'll figure something out." The foal seemed to sense the boy's anguish and rested its head on his shoulder, as if to comfort him. Ethan spent the whole night thinking of a plan. When the sun began to rise, he made his decision. Carefully, he led the mare and her foal to the abandoned barn at the back of the property, a place no one used anymore. "You'll stay here for now," he said, arranging hay and water. "I'll bring food every day, I promise." When Frank arrived to take the animal, Robert discovered it was gone. He searched the entire ranch but couldn't find it. "Where is that foal?" he asked his son at breakfast. "I don't know, Dad," Ethan lied, avoiding his father's gaze. "Ethan, tell me the truth. Where did you hide the horse?" "I didn't hide anything." Sarah noticed her son's nervousness and stepped in. "Robert, maybe the animal ran off on its own. It happens sometimes." "A one-day-old foal doesn't run off, Sarah. Someone helped it." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Over the next few days, Ethan developed a secret routine. He woke before dawn, brought food and water to the abandoned barn, and spent hours caring for the foal before anyone noticed he was gone. The animal, which he decided to name Hope, began showing remarkable trust in the boy. Whenever Ethan arrived, the foal limped toward him with obvious joy. "You're getting stronger, Hope," Ethan said, noticing how the animal could put a little more weight on its injured leg. "Soon you'll run just like the others." Sarah started to suspect her son's early disappearances. One morning, she decided to follow him quietly and discovered the hiding place. "Ethan," she called softly when she saw him in the barn. The boy turned around, startled, fearing he had been discovered by his father. When he saw it was his mother, he felt a mix of relief and fear. "Mom, I can explain." "You don't need to explain anything, sweetheart, I understand." Sarah approached the colt and was touched by the animal's gentleness. "He's beautiful, Ethan, and he seems to be getting better." "You really think so?" "I've been taking care of him every day." "I can see that, but your father is still looking. He's very angry. Are you going to tell him?" Sarah looked into her son's eyes and saw the same determination she recognized in herself as a child. "I won't tell him. But we need to think of a solution." "What do you mean?" "Your father can't keep thinking the horse just vanished into thin air. Sooner or later, he'll find out everything." That afternoon, Sarah had an idea. She remembered Dr. Wilson, the veterinarian who had served the ranch for years and was known for his dedication to animals. "Ethan, I'm going to call Dr. Wilson. I want him to examine Hope." "Why, Mom? If he says the problem can be treated, maybe your father will change his mind." The vet arrived the next day while Robert was in New York City handling business. Sarah took him to the secret barn and explained the situation. "This boy has every reason to be attached to the animal," said Dr. Wilson after carefully examining the colt. "This isn't a permanent defect." "What do you mean, Doctor?" Ethan asked eagerly. "It's a birth injury that caused temporary inflammation. With proper treatment and therapy, he can fully recover." Sarah felt a surge of hope. How long would it take? A few months of consistent care, specific exercises, medication, special feed. But it's entirely possible. "We can do this, Mom," Ethan exclaimed. "The issue is convincing your father," Sarah said thoughtfully. Dr. Wilson pondered for a moment. "Sarah, may I suggest something? What if we don't reveal where the horse is right away? Let's start treatment in secret, and when he's visibly better, we'll show Robert the results." "Wouldn't that be too dishonest?" Sometimes the only way to change a stubborn person's mind is by showing them concrete facts. Ethan loved the idea immediately. "Please, Mom, let's try." Sarah hesitated but finally agreed. "All right, but if your father finds out too soon—" "He won't," Ethan promised. "I've been very careful." From that day on, Dr. Wilson began making secret visits to the ranch. Ethan learned to apply ointments, do specific exercises with the animal, and prepare the special feed the vet prescribed. "See how he's already bearing weight better?" Dr. Wilson observed during one visit. "In 2 weeks, there's already visible improvement." Ethan beamed. "He's really going to get better, Doctor. If we keep this up, in 3 months he'll be running normally." Meanwhile, Robert kept investigating the colt's disappearance. He questioned all the ranch hands, checked the fences for gaps where the animal might have escaped, and even considered theft. "This is very strange," he told Sarah. "Horses don't just vanish like this." "Maybe it's for the best," she ventured. "An animal with problems would have just been a headache anyway." "That's not the point, Sarah. I don't like mysteries on my property." William, Ethan's grandfather, began to suspect something when he noticed his grandson was always busy early in the morning and seemed more cheerful than usual. "Ethan, you've been acting a little odd lately," he remarked one day. "What do you mean, Grandpa?" "Happier, more excited, like you've got a good secret." Ethan blushed. "I don't have any secret, Grandpa." "Is that so?" William said with a sly smile. "All right then." But the old rancher decided to keep an eye on his grandson. One morning he discreetly followed him and discovered the secret barn. "Good heavens," he whispered upon seeing the colt. "Clever boy." Ethan was startled to see his grandfather. "Grandpa William, you can't tell Dad." "Easy, grandson, let me take a look at this animal." William approached the colt and was amazed by its improvement. "Ethan, this horse is doing much better than when it was born." "Dr. Wilson is treating him, Grandpa. He said he'll recover." "Dr. Wilson knows about this?" "Yes. He and Mom are helping me." William shook his head, impressed by his grandson's determination. "You know what, boy? You remind me of myself when I was young." "How so?" "I also saved a horse your father wanted to discard, but back then, we weren't so lucky." "What happened, Grandpa?" "Long story, grandson. But the important thing is you're doing the right thing. You can count on me." From that day on, William became a secret ally. He helped Ethan care for the animal and even offered suggestions based on his decades of experience with horses. "This colt is special," William observed one day. "It's not just the physical recovery. There's a different intelligence in him." "I think so too, Grandpa. He understands everything I say." Horses are like that. They sense when someone truly cares. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. After a month of secret treatment, Hope's progress was remarkable. The colt could walk almost normally and even attempted small trots in the barn. "It's time for the next phase," said Dr. Wilson. "He needs outdoor exercise." "But how?" asked Ethan. "Someone might see." "We'll use the farthest pasture, the one near the creek. Early in the morning, no one goes there." Sarah grew increasingly nervous about the situation. "Robert, do you think we're doing the right thing? Frank is very suspicious." "Sarah, in 2 weeks this horse will be practically healed. When Frank sees the results, he'll understand. And if he doesn't, then at least you tried. The boy will never forgive himself if he doesn't give this animal a chance." The pasture exercises began the following week. Ethan took Hope for morning walks, joyfully watching as the animal gained confidence and strength each day. "Look, Mom," he exclaimed one morning. "He can even gallop a little now." Sarah smiled but remained worried. "Ethan, what if your father shows up suddenly?" "He never comes to this pasture in the morning, Mum. It's safe." But fate had other plans. That morning, Frank woke up earlier than usual for an important meeting in the city. He decided to take a walk around the ranch before leaving and headed straight toward the distant pasture. From afar, he saw a small figure running alongside an animal. Curious, he approached and could hardly believe his eyes. Ethan playing with the colt that had disappeared weeks ago. "Ethan!" he shouted furiously. "What is this?" The boy froze at his father's voice. Hope, startled by the shout, took a few steps back, but without any visible limp. "Dad, I can explain. You've been hiding the horse all this time?" Frank stormed closer. "You lied to my face? Dad, look how much better he is. He doesn't limp anymore." Frank paused for a moment, studying the animal. Indeed, the colt looked nothing like he remembered. "That doesn't change anything, Ethan. You disobeyed me." "But he's healed, Dad. Dr. Wilson said—" "Dr. Wilson?" Frank grew even angrier. "The vet is in on this too." Just then, Sarah came running, having heard the shouting. "Frank, let me explain." "You too, Sarah? My own family betraying me?" "Nobody betrayed anyone," William interjected, having arrived with Sarah. "The boy just wanted to save an innocent animal. Dad, stay out of this. I will get involved, Robert. This boy has his heart in the right place." "Hearts don't pay the bills, Dad. Reputation is everything in this business." Dr. Wilson, who had just arrived for his morning rounds, witnessed the argument and decided to step in. "Robert, can I talk to you?" "Doctor, are you part of this farce too?" "It's not a farce. It's medical treatment. Let me explain the real situation with this animal." Dr. Wilson detailed the diagnosis, treatment, and the results achieved. Robert listened in silence, watching the colt, which indeed looked fully recovered. "So, you're saying he didn't have a permanent defect?" "Exactly. It was a temporary injury that's practically healed now." "Then why didn't you tell me from the start?" "Because you wouldn't listen," Ethan said bravely. "You just wanted to get rid of him." Robert felt a mix of anger and confusion. Part of him admired his son's determination, but another part felt betrayed by the whole family. "Even if he's healed now, it doesn't change what you did. You lied to me for weeks." "Robert," Sarah said softly, "sometimes you have to lie to protect those who can't defend themselves. That's childish, Sarah. In the real world, business is business." "And family is family," William shot back. "Ethan has learned more about responsibility these past weeks than in years of school." Robert looked at his son, who was hugging the colt's neck. There was something in the scene that moved him, but his wounded pride spoke louder. "It doesn't matter. I'm selling this horse today. I won't tolerate disobedience in my home." "Dad, please," Ethan began to cry. "He trusts me. You can't do this." "My decision is final, Ethan, and you'll learn that in life we can't always save everything." Sarah's heart broke seeing her son's despair. "Robert, think again. The animal is healed. The boy learned responsibility." "The decision is made," Robert said, turning his back and walking toward the house. Ethan fell to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably as he clung to the colt. "I'm sorry, Hope. I tried to save you, but I failed." The colt, as if understanding the boy's sorrow, rested its head on his shoulder and stayed quiet, sharing the moment of grief. Dr. Wilson approached. "Ethan, don't give up yet. Sometimes people need time to process the truth. My dad is too stubborn, Doctor. Once he makes up his mind, then we have to change his mind," William said firmly. "And I know exactly how." "How, Grandpa?" "Leave it to me, grandson. Your old man still has a few tricks up his sleeve." That afternoon, while Robert was in town, William gathered the ranch's most seasoned workers. They all knew the boss's temper, but they also respected the old rancher. "Folks, have you seen how well that colt is doing?" William asked. "We have, Mr. William," replied Joe, the caretaker. "The boy worked a miracle with that animal." "Exactly, and now Robert wants to sell him." "That's foolish," said Sam, another long-time worker. "A good horse is a good horse, no matter how it started." William smiled. "That's exactly what I need you all to tell him when he gets back." "How so?" "Don't you think it'd be good for the ranch's reputation to have a horse that overcame a birth defect? Imagine the story it'd make." The workers exchanged glances, understanding the suggestion. "You're right, Mr. William," Joe said. "Instead of hiding it, we could brag about it." "Exactly. A ranch that rehabilitates a lame horse shows knowledge and dedication." When Robert returned from the city, he was approached by the workers who seemingly by chance began talking about the colt. "Boss, I heard Ethan's little horse is walking just fine now," said Joe. "How do you all know about this?" "Well, everyone here at the ranch has seen it. What a recovery, huh?" Shows we really know how to take care of things here. Sam added, I've never seen a treatment work so well myself. You taught the boy well. Robert was confused. I didn't teach him anything. It was all kept from me. But it was with the family's knowledge, right, boss? Said another worker. Shows you all can see potential where others just see problems. These conversations began planting a seed of doubt in Robert's mind. Maybe he was looking at the situation from the wrong angle. That evening during dinner, the tension in the family was obvious. Ethan barely touched his food. Sarah was clearly worried, and even William seemed deep in thought. Ethan, are you going to eat or not? Robert asked. I'm not hungry, Dad. That doesn't solve anything, son. And selling Hope does? Hope? You named the animal? Ethan nodded sadly. Because he gave me hope that bad things can get better. Robert felt a tightness in his chest, but tried to stay firm. Ethan, you need to understand that you don't care about anyone's feelings, the boy interrupted, with a courage that surprised everyone. Ethan, Sarah scolded. No, Mom, it's true. Dad only cares about money and reputation. He doesn't care if I'm sad or if Hope trusts me. Robert fell silent, struck by his son's words. He's not just a horse, Dad. He's my friend, and I promised him I'd take care of him forever. Ethan, you're a child. You don't understand how the world works. Yes, I do. I understand you'd rather be respected for having perfect horses than for saving a special one. Those words echoed in Robert's mind all night. He remembered his own childhood, when he wanted a dog and his father refused, calling it useless for the ranch. The next morning, Robert woke up determined to stick to his decision. He called a buyer and arranged to sell the colt that afternoon. When Ethan heard the news, he ran to the barn where Hope was. They're taking you today, he said, crying, but I want you to know you're the best horse in the world. The animal seemed to sense the boy's sadness and stayed still, letting Ethan hug him. Sarah arrived at the barn and found the two embracing. Ethan, your father has made his decision. There's nothing more we can do. Mom, can I at least stay with him until then? Of course, sweetheart. Sarah walked away with tears in her eyes. Even though she understood her husband's concerns, she felt he was being unfair to their son. At 2 in the afternoon, a truck arrived to pick up the colt. Ethan refused to leave the barn, clinging to the animal. Ethan, come here, Robert called. Don't make this harder than it already is. I won't let them take him. Son, don't be stubborn. You're the stubborn one. Robert moved to grab his son, but stopped when he saw the scene. Ethan was hugging the colt's neck, and the horse remained perfectly calm, as if trying to protect the boy. Dad, just look how beautiful and strong he is now, Ethan said through tears. Look how much he trusts us. Robert studied the animal more closely. It was hard to believe this was the same lame colt born just weeks before. The horse radiated health and vitality. Ethan, step away, the man is waiting. I won't move. Do you want me to call the workers to pull you away? Go ahead, I won't abandon my friend. The buyer, growing impatient, approached. Robert, can we wrap this up? I have other commitments today. That was when Hope did something unexpected. Seeing the stranger approach, the animal positioned itself protectively in front of Ethan, clearly showing it didn't want to be separated from the boy. Interesting, murmured the buyer. This horse has a strong bond with the child. It's just stubbornness, said Robert, though his voice sounded less convincing. Actually, the buyer continued, horses that develop this kind of bond with children are often excellent for equine therapy. They're worth more than regular horses. Robert was surprised. How so? Hospitals and clinics pay well for gentle, reliable horses to work with special needs children. This one has the perfect temperament. Ethan lifted his head hopefully. Maybe there was still a chance to save Hope. How much would you pay? Robert asked. For therapy? About 3 times the usual price. Robert grew thoughtful. 3 times more was a considerable amount. But there's a problem, the buyer added. For therapy use, the horse needs to maintain that bond with children. If you separate them now, it might lose that quality. What are you suggesting? That you let the boy keep training the animal for a few more months. Then it would reach its full value for therapy. Ethan looked at his father with a mix of fear and hope. Could things really work out? "Dad, please," he whispered, "just a little more time." Robert faced a dilemma. His business sense told him the offer made sense, but his wounded pride resisted giving in. "I need to think," he finally said. "How much time do you need?" the buyer asked. "A week." "All right. But if you decide to sell for therapy, the price stays as I said. For slaughter, it's much less." After the buyer left, the family gathered in the living room. Ethan waited anxiously for his father's decision. "Dad, did you hear what he said? Hope could help other kids." "I heard, Ethan, but I'm still angry you lied to me." "We just wanted a chance to show he could improve," Sarah said. "And you did," Robert admitted. "But that doesn't change the fact I was deceived in my own home." William decided to step in. "Son, can I tell you a story?" "What story, Dad?" "About when you were a boy and did the exact same thing Ethan is doing now." Robert was surprised. "I never hid any horse." "No, but you hid that stray dog you found hurt on the road. Remember?" Robert fell silent. He'd completely forgotten that incident. "You took care of him in secret for 2 months," William continued, "until I found out. And what did you do? I let you keep the dog, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. That animal taught you responsibility like nothing else could." "But it was different, Dad. It was just a dog. It was an animal that depended on you, just like this horse depends on Ethan." Robert remembered Thunder clearly, the dog that had been his companion all through his teens. Caring for that animal had truly taught him about responsibility and commitment. "Ethan," Robert said, "if I let you keep the horse for a few more months, do you promise to obey me in everything?" "I promise, Dad." "And never lie to me again?" "Never." "And study properly without using the horse as an excuse to skip school?" "I promise everything, Dad." Robert sighed. "All right. We'll try for 3 months. If it works out, we'll consider selling for therapy. If not, we sell to whoever comes along." Ethan jumped for joy and hugged his father. "Thank you, Dad. You won't regret it." "I hope not, son." Sarah smiled in relief. "Robert, you made the right decision." "We'll see, Sarah. We'll see." The next 3 months were transformative for the whole family. Ethan kept every single promise he made to his father. He woke up early to take care of the horse, but was always ready for school on time. His grades even improved because he was more motivated and responsible. Hope developed magnificently. Beyond a full physical recovery, the animal displayed exceptional intelligence and gentleness. Ethan taught the horse several tricks, and it obeyed commands with impressive precision. "My goodness, Ethan," said Dr. Wilson during a visit. "This horse is better than many born perfect. He understands everything I say, Doctor. He's very smart and gentle, perfect for working with children." Robert began watching his son and the horse with new eyes. He saw how Ethan had matured, taking on responsibilities without needing reminders. The boy woke up on his own, cared for the animal, did his schoolwork, and even helped with other chores around the ranch. "Sarah, our son is different," he remarked one day. "More mature, isn't he? Taking care of Hope has been so good for him." I have to admit it has. During that time, unexpected visitors arrived at the ranch. A team from an equine therapy clinic in New York City had heard about the special horse being trained there. "We heard you have a horse perfect for our work," said the clinic's director, Dr. Jennifer. "How did you find out?" asked Robert, surprised. "Dr. Wilson told us. He said he'd never seen an animal so gentle and well-trained." Ethan was called to demonstrate his work with Hope. The boy was nervous, but the horse remained calm and obedient throughout the presentation. "Remarkable," murmured Dr. Jennifer. "The bond between them is extraordinary. Ethan trained him all by himself," said Robert with a pride that surprised even his son. "May I run some tests with the animal?" "Of course." Dr. Jennifer brought specialized equipment and simulated situations common during therapy sessions. Hope responded perfectly to every scenario, staying calm even with unexpected noises and movements. "This horse is truly special," she said afterward. "I'd like to make a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" asked Robert. "Instead of buying him, we'd like to form a partnership. The horse would stay here at the ranch, but we'd pay to use him for therapy a few times a week. Ethan's face lit up. So Hope wouldn't have to leave? Exactly. And you'd earn money from it. Robert grew interested. How much? A fixed monthly amount, plus a percentage per therapy session. By year's end, you'd earn far more than selling him outright. And could Ethan keep caring for him? Of course. In fact, maintaining that bond would be crucial to keeping the horse gentle. The offer was better than Robert could have imagined. His son would be happy. They'd earn steady income, and they'd help children in need of therapy. I accept, said Robert. When do we start? Next week, if possible. Ethan could hardly contain his joy. Not only was Hope safe, but he'd also get to help other children. Dad, thank you for giving him a chance, Ethan said that night. Thank you, son, for reminding me that sometimes it's worth fighting for what we believe in. What do you mean? You never gave up on Hope, even when I said it was impossible. It reminded me of when I was young and had dreams that seemed out of reach. What dreams, Dad? Of having the best ranch in the area. Everyone said it was crazy, but I kept going, and it worked out. So you understand why I couldn't give up on Hope? I do, son, and I'm proud of you. A few weeks later, the first group of children arrived for therapy. Ethan was eager to see how Hope would behave around other children. Among them was an 8-year-old girl named Emma, who had lost her ability to speak after an accident. She timidly approached the horse, but Hope remained perfectly still, allowing her to touch him without fear. Look at that, whispered Dr. Jennifer. He senses she needs special care. During the session, Emma managed to ride the horse with assistance, and for the first time in months, smiled. Ethan was moved to see how his friend was helping the girl. Hope, you're amazing, he whispered to the horse after the children had left. The following weeks brought more groups of children. Hope adapted perfectly to the work, showing extraordinary patience and intuition with each unique child. One afternoon, Robert was observing a therapy session when he approached Dr. Wilson. Doctor, can I ask you something? Of course, Robert. Did you know from the beginning the horse would turn out like this? Dr. Wilson smiled. I knew he'd recover physically, but this special ability with children, that's something no one could predict. It's a natural gift. What if I'd sold him for slaughter when he was born? We would have lost something truly special, not just in helping Ethan grow, but in helping dozens of children who need therapy. Robert reflected on this. Sometimes we almost make terrible mistakes, huh, Doc? What matters is that you changed your mind when you realized you were wrong. That shows wisdom. That evening at dinner, Robert made an announcement to the family. Everyone, I have some news. What is it, Dad? Asked Ethan curiously. I've decided to expand the equine therapy program. We're building our own center here at the ranch. Really? Ethan exclaimed. Really? And you'll be my junior partner in the project. What do you mean, Dad? You understand therapy horses better than I do. I'll need your help choosing and training more animals. Ethan beamed. You mean we'll save more horses with problems? Exactly. We'll show that different horses can be special. Sarah smiled proudly. Robert, what a beautiful change. I've learned from you all that sometimes the most valuable things come disguised as problems. William, who had been listening, chimed in. Son, now you're thinking like a true rancher. How so, Grandpa? A real rancher doesn't discard anything that might have value. You just have to see the potential. A year later, the Clearwater Equine Therapy Center was renowned throughout the region. Hope had become the lead horse, famous for his special ability with children who struggled with communication. Ethan, now 11, had become a young expert in therapy horses. He helped train new animals and even gave guidance to other centers that visited the ranch. Ethan, Dr. Jennifer said one day, you have a natural talent for this work. I learned everything from Hope, Doctor. And he learned from you. It's a perfect partnership. Emma, the girl who had lost her speech, returned regularly for sessions and could now say a few words. Every time she arrived, she looked first for Hope and then for Ethan. Ethan, she said one day, carefully forming the words, Hope is magical. He's not magic, Emma. He just has a lot of love to give. Like you? Ethan blushed at the compliment, but was happy to see how much Emma had progressed. During a particularly busy afternoon at the center, an unexpected visitor arrived, the same buyer who had tried to take Hope to slaughter a year earlier. "Robert, I heard about your center's success," he said. "I came to see for myself." "You're welcome here," Robert replied politely. The man watched the therapy sessions carefully, observing how Hope worked patiently with each child. "Unbelievable," he murmured. "Is this the same horse you wanted to sell for slaughter?" "It is," replied Ethan, who had approached. "And now how much is he worth?" "He's priceless," Ethan answered firmly. "He's not for sale." "Son, everything has a price." "Not Hope," Ethan said. "He's my friend and helps other children. That's worth more than any money." The buyer looked at Robert, expecting him to contradict his son, but the rancher only smiled proudly. "My boy is right. There are some things in life you don't sell." After the visitor left, Robert walked over to Ethan. "Son, you spoke well. Hope truly is priceless." "Thank you for understanding, Dad. I'm the one who should be thanking you. You taught me that success isn't just about making money. It's about making a difference in people's lives. Hope was the one who taught us that, Dad. I just took care of him. And he took care of you too, didn't he?" Ethan nodded. "He taught me that everyone deserves a second chance. Even stubborn fathers like me?" "Especially stubborn fathers," Ethan said, laughing. That evening, father and son walked together to the pasture where Hope rested after a day's work. The horse approached as soon as he saw them, clearly happy in their presence. "You know, Hope," Robert said, stroking the animal, "you saved more than just your own life. You saved our family too." The horse seemed to understand and stood quietly, letting them both pet him. "Dad," Ethan said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, son. Do you still regret letting me keep Hope?" Robert looked at the horse, then at the therapy center they had built, and finally at his son, who had grown into a responsible and compassionate young man. "No, Ethan. It was the best decision I ever made. You taught me that sometimes the greatest treasures come disguised as problems, and Hope taught us that being different doesn't mean being worse. It just means being special in your own way." "Exactly, son. And now our ranch is known not for the perfect horses we sell, but for the special ones we save." A few months later, Clearwater Ranch received a special recognition from the state government for its social work. During the ceremony, Ethan was invited to speak about the project. "It all started when a horse was born different," the boy told the audience. "My dad wanted to get rid of him, but I believed he could get better. Today, that horse helps dozens of children and taught us that everyone deserves a chance." The crowd applauded emotionally. Among those present were many families whose children had benefited from the therapy. "Hope isn't just my horse's name," Ethan continued. "It's what he brought to our family and to every child he's met. He proved that sometimes what seems like a problem can become the greatest blessing in our lives." After the ceremony, Robert sought out his son. "Ethan, I'm so proud of you." "Thank you, Dad, but I wouldn't have accomplished anything if you hadn't given me a chance. You fought for what you believed in. That taught me to be a better father, and Hope taught us to be better people." They walked toward the pasture where Hope waited for them, as he always did at the end of the day. The horse approached and let them both stroke him. "You know what amazes me most about Hope," Robert said. "What, Dad?" "He never held a grudge against me for wanting to send him away. Horses are like that. They forgive easier than people." "Maybe because they understand that everyone can change," Ethan reflected. "Maybe so, son. Maybe so." That night, during family dinner, William made a remark that stayed in everyone's memory. "Do you know what happened here?" said the grandfather. "A horse transformed an entire family." "How so, Grandpa?" asked Ethan. "Robert learned to listen to his heart beyond reason. You learned responsibility and determination. Sarah saw that it's worth fighting for her children, and I discovered I can still teach you all important things, all because of hope, all because of love. The horse was just the way for you to discover what truly matters in life." Sarah smiled, moved. "Dad, William is right. We're a better family because of this experience." "And closer," Robert added. "I learned that listening to family is just as important as making decisions alone. 2 years had passed since Hope arrived at the ranch. The Equine Therapy Center had expanded and now served children from several nearby towns. Ethan, now 12, was already known regionally as the boy of the special horses. One afternoon, a family from another state arrived at the ranch. They brought their 7-year-old daughter, who had undergone a delicate surgery and needed therapy to regain her confidence. "We heard about your work online," the girl's father explained. "Our daughter has been afraid of everything since the surgery." The girl, named Lily, hid behind her parents and refused to go near any strangers. "Leave her with us," Ethan said confidently. "Hope knows how to help." Ethan led the family to the pasture where Hope stood. Sensing the frightened child, the horse approached very slowly and stopped at a respectful distance. "Hi, Lily," Ethan said softly. "This is my friend Hope." He was scared too when he was little. "How?" the girl asked, still keeping her distance. "He was born with a hurt leg and everyone said he was no good, but we took care of him, and now he helps other kids be brave." Lily looked at the horse curiously. "Was he hurt like me?" "Kind of. And you know what he learned? That being brave isn't about not being afraid. It's about doing things even when you are." Hope, as if understanding the conversation, took a step back, showing he meant no harm. "Can I touch him?" Lily asked timidly. "Of course. He loves making new friends." The girl stepped forward slowly and lightly touched the horse's muzzle. Hope stayed perfectly still, letting her build confidence. "He's soft," Lily said with a small smile. "Want to feed him?" Over the next hour, Lily gradually lost her fear and interacted more with Hope. By the end of the visit, she was laughing and running alongside him. "It's amazing," the girl's mother told Robert. "We haven't seen our daughter this happy in months." "Hope has that gift," Robert replied proudly. "He teaches kids that any difficulty can be overcome." "Can we come back next week?" "Of course. Lily will always be welcome here." After the family left, Ethan talked to Hope, as he did every evening. "Did you see how you helped Lily today?" he said, stroking the horse. "She was just as scared as you when you were born." Hope rested his head on the boy's shoulder, their signature gesture. "You know what I think, Hope. I think you were born this way so you could help others who were born different too. It was your destiny." Robert, who had approached quietly, heard his son's words and felt a deep emotion. "Ethan," he said, "do you really believe everything happened for a reason?" "I do, Dad. If Hope had been born perfect, we'd never have discovered how special he is at helping kids. And I'd never have learned to listen to my heart more. And I'd never have learned to fight for what I believe in. And our family would never have become so close," added Sarah, who had also joined the evening conversation. "It seems like Hope taught everyone," said William, completing the family circle. That night, for the first time in years, the whole family sat in the pasture to talk under the stars. Hope stayed nearby, as if knowing he was an important part of that special moment. "Ethan," said Robert, "I want to make you a promise." "What promise, Dad?" "I promise I'll never give up on something or someone without giving them a real chance to prove their worth. And I promise I'll never stop fighting for what I believe in," said Ethan. "And I promise I'll always support you both when you're doing the right thing," said Sarah. "And I promise I'll keep telling stories to remind you where you came from," said William with a laugh. Hope whinnied softly as if making his own promise. "What do you think he's promising?" asked Ethan. "I think he's promising to keep helping children and teaching families about love," said Robert. "And about second chances," added Ethan. "And about never giving up," finished Sarah. 3 years later, Hope's story had spread across the country. The horse, who was almost put down for being born different, had become a symbol of resilience and hope. Ethan, now 15, had written a book about his experience with Hope. The book became a hit among families with special needs children and people facing hardships. "I never imagined our Hope would become famous," Sarah remarked one day. "He was always special," Ethan replied. "It just took the world a while to notice." The Clearwater Equine Therapy Center had expanded so much that it now welcomed visitors from other countries interested in their methods. During an interview for a documentary, Ethan was asked about the most important lesson he learned from Hope. "I learned that every living being has a special purpose," the young man answered. "Sometimes that purpose isn't obvious at first, but if you give it a chance and care with love, it always shows itself." And what was Hope's purpose? To teach that being different isn't a flaw, it's an opportunity to be unique and special. He taught that to me, to my dad, to our family, and to hundreds of kids who've come through here. Do you have any advice for children facing difficulties? I do. Never give up on yourselves. If someone tells you you're not good enough or too different, remember Hope. He was born limping and everyone said he was worthless. Now he's the most loved horse on this ranch and helps other kids every day. And for parents? Ethan thought for a moment before answering. To parents, I'd say, sometimes your kids see things you can't. Listen to them. My dad almost made a terrible mistake by not hearing me out at first. When he finally gave me a chance, he realized I was right. After the interview, Ethan went to find Hope in the pasture. The horse, now grown and majestic, approached as soon as he saw the young man. "Hey, buddy," Ethan said, stroking him. "They're saying you've become a celebrity." Hope responded with a gentle whinny and rested his head on Ethan's shoulder, a gesture they'd shared since their earliest days together. "You know what I think is the best part of all this?" Ethan continued. "You proved that everyone deserves a second chance, even stubborn dads like mine." Robert, who had walked up, heard the comment and smiled. "Hey now, don't push it, kid." "It's true, Dad. You've changed a lot since meeting Hope." "We all have, son. This whole ranch has changed." And it was true. Clearwater Ranch had transformed from a profit-focused horse farm into a center of hope and healing. Employees, visitors, and even the family themselves had learned valuable lessons through the story of the special horse. "Dad," said Ethan, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you regret anything that happened?" Robert thought carefully before answering. "I regret taking so long to listen to you, but I don't regret anything that happened after that." "Me neither, Dad, me neither." At that moment, a group of children arrived for the afternoon therapy session. Among them was Emma, now 11 years old and speaking perfectly. "Ethan, Hope," she called out cheerfully. "Hi, Emma, how are you?" "Great, I brought my cousin to meet you. She's having trouble speaking after surgery." "Hope will help her just like he helped you." "I know. He's magic." "He's not magic, Emma. He just has a lot of love to give. Just like you taught him to." Ethan smiled. Even after all these years, it still moved him to see how much the children progressed through therapy with Hope. During that afternoon session, Ethan watched Hope working with a new child. The horse showed the same patience and intuition as always, adapting his behavior to each child's specific needs. "Incredible," murmured Dr. Jennifer, who still oversaw the therapy program. "After all these years, he still surprises me." "It's his gift," Ethan replied. "He was born to help others, and you were born to take care of him. We complete each other, don't we, Doctor?" "Perfectly." At the end of the day, when all the children had left, Ethan sat in the pasture beside Hope for their daily moment of reflection. "You know, Hope, sometimes I wonder what our lives would have been like if Dad had managed to sell you that day." The horse remained quiet, as he always did during these talks. "I would have lost my best friend. Dad would have never learned to listen to me, and hundreds of kids would have never met the most special horse in the world." A gentle breeze rustled the trees in the pasture, creating an atmosphere of peace and calm. "Thank you for teaching me to never give up," Ethan continued, "and for teaching my family that love is more important than perfection." Hope lay down in the grass beside the young man, recreating a scene that had repeated itself thousands of times over the years. "Tomorrow, more children are coming, right? Are you ready?" The horse whinnied softly as if to say he would always be ready to help. "I know you are. You always are." Just then, the whole family joined them in the pasture, as had become their Sunday evening tradition. "How was today?" Sarah asked. "Special, as always," Ethan replied. "Hope helped 3 more children." "And you helped Hope help them," said Robert. "It's teamwork." "The best team in the world," William added. As they talked, a car pulled up to the ranch. A family stepped out, and Ethan recognized them immediately. It was Lily's parents, the girl who had visited the ranch 2 years earlier. "Ethan," Lily called, running toward the pasture. "I came to show Hope something." The girl, now 9 years old, was visibly more confident and joyful. "What did you come to show, Lily?" "Look," she said, and began dancing in the pasture. "I learned to dance. I'm not afraid of anything anymore." Lily's parents approached, emotional. "We wanted to thank you," her father said. "Our daughter has fully recovered." "And she always talks about Hope," her mother added. "She says he taught her to be brave." Hope walked up to Lily, and she hugged him tenderly. "Hi, my friend, do you remember me?" The horse gently nuzzled the girl, showing he remembered her perfectly. "I came to tell you that now I help other kids who are scared, just like you helped me," said Lily. "At my school, when someone is sad, I tell the story of the brave horse who was born different but became special." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. "That's beautiful, Lily. It's true. And you know what else? My teacher wants to bring the whole class to meet you all." "We'd be delighted to have everyone," said Robert. After Lily's family left, the Thompsons gathered again in the pasture. "Dad," said Ethan, "did you hear what Lily said?" "What, son?" "That she's sharing Hope's story with other kids. It's like he's helping people he's never even met." "That's true," Sarah reflected. "His influence goes way beyond our ranch." "That's how love works," William said thoughtfully. "It multiplies. Someone who receives love passes it on to others." "So Hope isn't just helping the kids who come here," said Ethan. "He's helping all the kids those children will help too." "Exactly," said Robert. "It's like a chain of kindness that never ends." That night, Ethan had an idea. He ran to his room and came back with a notebook and pen. "What are you going to do?" asked Sarah. "I'm going to write a letter to all the kids Hope has helped. I want to start a Hope's Friends Club." "What a wonderful idea, son. That way they can write to each other and share their stories of overcoming challenges." Robert smiled proudly. "Ethan, you never stop surprising me." "I learned from Hope, Dad. He never stopped surprising us either." A few weeks later, the club had taken shape. Children from all over the country sent letters sharing their stories and how their experience with Hope had changed their lives. "Mom, look how many letters came today," exclaimed Ethan, holding a bundle of mail. "How many?" 23. "And they're all about Hope." Ethan sat in the pasture to read the letters to the horse, as had become his habit. "Listen to this one, Hope. Dear special horse, my name is Jake and I'm 7 years old. When I met you, I was afraid of everything because of a surgery. But you taught me that being brave means doing things even when you're scared. Now I'm not afraid anymore, and I even help other boys at school. Thank you for being my friend." Hope stood attentively, as if understanding every word. And this one. "Hi, Hope. I'm Olivia, 10 years old. My mum said you were born different, just like me. I want to tell you that now I like being different because I learned that different is special. You're my hero." With each letter, Ethan grew more emotional. He realized Hope had become much more than a therapy horse. He was a symbol of hope for children across the country. "Dad," Ethan said that night at dinner, "I think we need to do something bigger." "What do you mean, son?" "Write a book telling Hope's whole story. That way kids who live far away can know our story too." "You're right," Sarah agreed. "It's a story that needs to be told." "And filmed," William suggested. "A documentary to show how he works with the kids." Robert grew thoughtful. "Do you think Hope would be comfortable with all that attention?" "Dad, he loves kids. If he knows he can help more of them, he'll be happy. Then let's do it. But we have to be careful not to stress him." In the following months, the ranch welcomed journalists, photographers, and filmmakers. Hope behaved perfectly during every shoot, as if he understood the importance of what was happening. "This horse is truly special," the documentary director remarked. "I've never seen an animal so natural in front of the cameras." "He likes attention when it's to help children," explained Ethan. The book, Hope, the Horse That Taught a Family to Love, was published the following year and became a national bestseller. The documentary was shown on several networks and won international awards. "Ethan," Robert said one day, "do you realize what we've accomplished?" "What, Dad?" "We turned the story of a rejected horse into the most well-known story of hope in the country." "It wasn't us, Dad. It was Hope himself. We just gave him the chance he deserved. And I almost didn't give him that chance. But you did, Dad, and that's what matters. 5 years had passed since Hope's birth. The Clearwater Equine Therapy Center had become a global reference, welcoming visitors from various countries eager to learn about the methodology developed there. Ethan, now 17, had decided to study veterinary medicine with a specialization in equine therapy. He wanted to continue the work he had started with Hope. "Son," Robert said one day, "I'm so proud of the person you've become." "Thank you, Dad. But I only became this person because of what Hope taught me." "And what's the most important thing he taught you?" Ethan thought carefully before answering. "That every living being has value no matter how they're born or what challenges they face, and that with love, patience, and dedication, anyone can overcome their limitations and even help others overcome theirs." "And did that change you as a person?" "It changed everything, Dad. It taught me never to give up on anyone and to always look for the best in people and animals." That evening, father and son walked together to the pasture where Hope was waiting for them, as he always did. "Hi, my friend," Ethan said. "How was your day?" Hope approached and made his signature gesture of resting his head on the young man's shoulder. "Dad, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course, son. Sometimes I talk to Hope about you. About me." "What do you two talk about?" "I tell him how much you've changed since he came here, how you've become more affectionate, more patient, more open to listening to people." Robert was moved. "And what does Hope say?" "He doesn't answer with words, but I can feel he's happy, like he knows he's fulfilled his mission of teaching our family how to love better. Maybe that really was his mission, son." "I think so, Dad. He came to teach us that love can transform any situation, no matter how difficult." At that moment, the whole family arrived at the pasture, Sarah, William, and even some longtime staff who had become part of their extended family. "What are you all doing here?" Ethan asked, surprised. "We came to celebrate," Sarah said with a smile. "Celebrate what?" 5 years since Hope came into our lives," William said. "And 5 years since our family discovered the true meaning of unconditional love," Robert added. Hope, sensing he was the center of attention, stood quietly among them, letting everyone pet him. "You know what's most amazing," said Joe, the caretaker. "This horse taught us things no school ever could." "Like what?" Ethan asked. "That there's no such thing as perfection, only dedication. That no problem is unsolvable. Just a lack of patience to find the solution. And that no animal or person is worthless," Sam added, "just lacking the opportunity to show their worth." Everyone nodded silently, watching Hope, who remained calm at the center of the group. "Hope," Ethan said softly, "thank you for saving our family." The horse whinnied gently, as if to say the gratitude was mutual. A few months later, Ethan received a special letter. It was from an American university inviting him to present the work developed with Hope at an international equine therapy conference. "Dad, look at this!" exclaimed Ethan, showing the letter. Robert read the document and was amazed. "Son, this is global recognition of your work." "It's not my work, Dad, it's our work, the whole family's and especially Hope's. Are you going to accept the invitation?" "Only if I can take Hope with me." "Ethan, transporting a horse to another country would be very complicated." "Then I won't go. I can't talk about our work without him there." Robert smiled at his son's loyalty to the horse. "All right, we'll find a way to take Hope too." After much paperwork and planning, Ethan and Hope traveled to Canada. It was the first time the horse had left the ranch since arriving there. "How's he handling the trip?" Robert asked over the phone. "Perfectly, Dad. It's like he knows we're going to help more children." The presentation at the conference was an absolute success. Hope demonstrated his skills to an audience of experts from around the world who were impressed by the methodology developed at the ranch. "We've never seen a horse with such adaptability to different children," remarked one of the event organizers. "He has a natural gift," Ethan replied, "but the main thing is that he was raised with so much love." "And that makes a difference?" "All the difference in the world. Horses who receive love learn to give love." When they returned to the United States, Ethan and Hope were welcomed as heroes at the ranch. The family had organized a small celebration to honor their international success. "How was it out there?" Sarah asked eagerly. Incredible, Mum. People from all over wanted to know how Hope developed his skills. And what did you tell them? The truth, that he was born different, almost rejected, but found a family who believed in him, and that with love, patience, and dedication he became the special horse he is today. Did they understand the message? Perfectly. Several countries want to implement programs like ours. Robert approached his son, pride shining in his eyes. Ethan, you represented our family and our country with great dignity. Thanks, Dad. But the one who really represented us was Hope. He showed that the United States knows how to care for those who need a second chance. That night, Ethan had a long talk with Hope in the pasture. My friend, you've become famous all over the world, he said. People from so many countries want to hear your story. Hope remained quiet, as he always did during these intimate conversations. But you know what I think matters most? It's not the fame or the recognition. It's that you proved everyone deserves a chance to show their worth. A gentle breeze rustled the trees, creating the peaceful atmosphere they both loved. And you taught my family that sometimes the greatest treasures come disguised as problems. If Dad had sold you that first day, we'd never have discovered who you really are. Hope rested his head on Ethan's shoulder, his signature gesture. Thank you for choosing me to be your friend, the young man continued. And for teaching my dad to listen to me. Our family is so much happier and closer because of you. Just then Robert approached quietly. Mind if I join your conversation? Of course, Dad. Robert sat on the grass beside his son and the horse. Ethan, I want to thank you for something. What, Dad? For not giving up on Hope even when I said it was impossible. Dad, I just did what I thought was right. Exactly. And that taught me sometimes you have to trust your children's hearts, even when reason says otherwise. Do you regret being against it at first? I regret taking so long to understand, but I don't regret anything that happened after I opened my eyes. They stayed silent for a few minutes, watching the stars in the clear ranch sky. Dad, said Ethan, can I ask you a personal question? Of course, son. Do you think you're a better person today than you were before Hope arrived? Robert thought carefully before answering. Yes, Ethan. I'm much better. I've learned to listen more, judge less, and give chances to people and situations I would have automatically rejected before. And has that changed other parts of your life? It's changed everything. The way I treat the staff, how I talk to your mother, how I relate to you. Hope taught me that everyone deserves respect and patience. Even those who are born different? Especially those who are born different, because they might have special gifts we can't see at first. Ethan smiled, satisfied. Dad, I'm proud of who you've become. And I'm proud of who you've always been, son. You had the wisdom I didn't. Hope, who had stayed quiet the whole time, whinnied softly, as if wanting to join the conversation. What do you think he's saying? Asked Robert. I think he's saying we've learned the lesson he came to teach, replied Ethan. What lesson? That unconditional love can transform any situation, any person, any family. And do you think we've truly learned that lesson? I think so, Dad. Look how much our family has changed. Look at all the children Hope has helped. Look how our ranch has become a place of hope instead of just a business. Robert nodded, moved. You're right, son. Hope really did transform everything. And he'll keep transforming. As long as he's here, there will always be children being helped and families learning about love. At that moment, the whole family joined them in the pasture, as had become tradition during special times. What were you talking about? Asked Sarah. About how Hope changed our lives, said Ethan. And how grateful we are that he came to us, added Robert. William, always philosophical, remarked, You know what I find most beautiful about this whole story? What, Grandpa? That a rejected animal taught an entire family about acceptance. A horse born different taught ordinary people about compassion. And a foal who was almost sacrificed became a symbol of hope for children all over the world, Sarah finished. Hope stood at the center of the family group, letting everyone pet him. It was as if he knew this was a special moment of gratitude and recognition. Hope, said Ethan, on behalf of our whole family and all the children you've helped. Thank you for coming into our lives." The horse whinnied softly and rested his head on the young man's shoulder, a gesture that had become his way of saying, "You're welcome, and I love you too." That night, as the whole family walked back to the house, Ethan looked back and saw Hope standing in the middle of the pasture, majestic under the moonlight. "See you tomorrow, my friend," he whispered. And Hope stayed there, a silent guardian of a family that had learned that sometimes the greatest miracles come disguised as problems, and that unconditional love can transform any situation, no matter how difficult it seems. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave a heartfelt comment. Do you believe Ethan made the right choice by fighting for Hope? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget to leave your like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.